Hello and welcome back to Mr. Caro Plays FM26. Today we are going to look at staffing and what is different in FM26 compared to FM24. Hello and welcome back to Mr. Caro Plays FM26. Sounds weird saying 26, but that is indeed the game we are playing today. The game is still in beta, so a few things may change. However, I wanted us to look specifically at staffing and how staffing has changed from FM24 to FM26. Now, in order for us to get to staffing, it has changed, shockingly enough. I believe we go to club and staff. There may be other ways to get there, but that is how I kind of see that you get there. From then on in, it looks a little bit different to the old. It would have been an old game. There would have been a big screen. On the new game, it's just kind of like a pop-out menu. And from there, you just click and expand that field. Now you can see that we can see I am Morecambe on this game. My beta save, if you like. So we don't have a lot of staff. You can see that actually we need more stuff, but you can see compared to the other screen, this screen is actually, or compared to the old game even, this screen actually does offer quite a lot. Maybe even more information. I know a lot of people don't like the UI on the FM26, but actually there are some pluses, and this does give you more information, or at least easier to see information, perhaps. So if we go to our coaching team, and then we pick out our assistant manager. I didn't hire any of these coaches. I haven't got to that stage yet. So I can't take any credit, good or bad. However, if we click on Lee Tomlin, an ex-player, I think he played for Peterborough, amongst other teams, Harrogate by the look of it as well. You can see that the big difference on FM24, 26 even, sorry, is that there are no longer numerical values to determine their ability, which is, personally, it's a little confusing, not going to lie. However, this is the way they've gone. So it's words like average, words like unsuited, reasonable, people management is good, and it kind of is following obviously like a green being good and red being bad and yellow or white being in between, I guess. So kind of like an interesting way they've chosen to do that. However, it may be a good thing. We'll see over time, I guess. And if you go on the different sections, it will give you more broken out information. That is different to the previous one, and I will put a little image of the previous screen to show the difference if anyone hasn't played FM24. But it is a little different, but not crazy. It's just different in its wording. It's no longer numbers. It is now this word value, which, like I say, hey, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's not. I guess time will tell. I don't know how I stand on that, if I'm honest. I quite like it in some aspects, but in other aspects, I'm like, I quite like the numbers. So if we go to how that looks in our training, and to get to training, I believe we go to squad. Yes, squad, and then training. And one of the things we like people typically do, let's see if I can even get to where I want to go, is coaching assignments. Now, this is very small, very hard to see compared to the previous one. FM24 is much easier to see, but however, this is what we're seeing now for coaching assignments. So despite the fact the numerical value has gone, the star rating still remains. So I guess it's going to take a little bit of trial and error to work out what that actually represents in regards to overall. However, I guess we can kind of pretty quickly guess, looking at, if we look at this dude, for example, we click on him, you can see that he's very good at technical, he's good at attacking, very good at a few other mental attributes. Then if we go back to our screen again, you can see that that kind of makes sense, right? Like he is good at defensive, technical, and at best if I put him into every, maybe another technical field, he's also going to score quite highly in that. Not going to do that because I'll leave without a scout, but you get the idea. It does reflect what you'd expect. If you look at me, Jimmy Davis, you can see that I don't have a lot of attributes at all. Competent, average in some aspects. Pretty much sums me up, I guess. But yeah, you can see there's a lot of different elements to that. And then you can see that actually, again, my traits are quite low. So actually my assistant manager is better than me, which is fantastic. We'll look at one final option, John Stewart. Just click on him, and you can see that he is good at goalkeeping, which is great. This is a goalkeeping or competent at goalkeeping coaching, but he's got some pretty good mental stats in there. Now, previously on FM24, you needed a combination of both to get that kind of higher rating of staff. Now, we will make a video later down the road to demonstrate this in its fullest. I just wanted to make a video today to show what it looks like and how we can kind of translate from one game to the other, the different changes that have been made. But we will go into more detail at some point to cover that. Now, the final thing I was going to show you today is much like recruitment of players, staffing has changed to some degree as well. Obviously, if we want to scout a player, you can do what you can get out your own staff in there if you feel like you're going to find stuff. There is a staff interest section again, which is very similar to the previous game. And then what we can do is we go edit search. And now, interestingly, this is where it gets interesting, I guess. And some people struggled with this for the old game, so I'm going to go slow with this. So if we want to do our staff search, and keep in mind that I am managing in the non-league, so I don't know that I'm going to get anyone here very quickly. But if we pick our staff search and we go coaching, and then you want to go pick attributes in here, you can choose in here, highlight attributes for role. We can choose our coaching role. Let's say we want our coach. And it's actually not going to work great for that. But let's do a goalkeeping coach because it is going to pick a much better pick those attributes for us. You can see that they are the attributes that are being shown. Now, interestingly, on the previous one, this would give a numerical value here. But obviously, we know that this is not the case. On the new game, we are choosing from one of these elite, outstanding, very good, good, average, competent, reasonable, unsuited. Now, I will admit that some of these are they are vague. They're very, I guess you could say, they are very kind of like incremental words, average to good, very good, outstanding, elite. Elite's kind of the only one that's very obvious in that statement. One thing I don't like about the different bars on this is it kind of looks like there's more to scroll, but there isn't. That's interesting, I guess. But what it does mean, I guess, with these words is perhaps in non-league, whereas before it would have been very difficult to find people, maybe the average element is going to pick people up. Let's see. Probably not. You might have to drop some attributes out to get some ability in there. Maybe we have to take out interesting, it doesn't seem to give you attributes in here, for example. Okay, so if we were to say, for example, motivating is reasonable, authoritative is reasonable, and I wonder how long it takes us till we can actually kind of get anyone in there, because we're kind of downgrading our search a little bit. It's actually taking longer than I thought. I thought we'd actually find it pretty easy to find someone in there, but maybe not. Like, maybe we just get rid of those completely and see what it comes up with. Yeah, so you can see that it is a bit of trial and error. I must admit, you can now see there's a big search of people, managers, or coaches in there. If we click on one, you can see that it is giving the attributes that we expect to see. Now, obviously, for me, that works a little bit worse than the old game, if I'm honest, because I did like to go in here and to put them a little bit more in. Maybe if we add one back and see if we can, is showing like the old game where it shows the amount of players in there, coaches in there. That's pretty cool. So you can kind of see that building up in the background, and you can see that going down in there. So I wonder if we put good now. I wonder how that does for that. But you have to keep in mind, I am managing a non-league team here. So if you're managing a team higher in the leagues, it is going to be easier to acquire this. But does look like reasonable, competent, might even be too much in their average. So yeah, reasonable seems to be the only way of getting on my team. But you have to, like I say, keep in mind this is a specific save. If you're managing Manchester United, Chelsea, Arsenal, you would be able to get elite members of staff, and that would work fine. So keep that in mind. And the way once we've found someone we want, I'm just going to demo it like we would on the old game. You just go actions and you go sign, approach to sign. It's going to offer you this kind of approach here. Be careful in here to make sure that you select the right one, because quite often, especially in non-league situations where you've got less options, if you like, sometimes it can be very easy to accidentally sign a under-18s coach when you meant to sign a first team coach. Keep that in mind because it does cause issues. And then once you've done that, you can't even choose under 18s in there. So yeah, keep that in mind. And then really exactly the same. Bonuses are the same. Everything is the same really in there. The only difference is it looks slightly different. And obviously I'm not going to have the money to get this coach himself. He's going to ask for too much money. What you can do, and I did show this tip on a previous video, is if you have multiple options in here, for example, you can just click on them all or click on a couple without actually accepting one of them. So if you found a coach that you liked, for example, but he was asking for too much money, don't be afraid to try another one, see what they're asking for. Because as we progress through here, it's going to force us potentially to go back at some point and confirm that deal. At least it did on the old one. Maybe it won't on this one. But either way, you can open up more than one to make that happen, okay? If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Hit the notification button to see when videos are released. Thank you and goodbye.